Livestream. And good afternoon. Welcome to the Deal Doctor Live for, November 8th, 2021. Just had to take off my glasses to see that one. Welcome. Glad you could join. A couple of quick updates or reminders. If you haven't signed up for the Christmas party, I think there's still time. It's going to be a lot of fun. We have a great time, and we all really missed it last year, so I think that it's going to have a pretty good turnout. So get your information in as quickly as you can. There's also, I think you've noticed an announcement about Ninja. Ninja is coming in 2022, again to 5-star. And I have to say, I'm very pleased that I took Ninja about 8 years ago. Ron Valerius and I were the first Ninja installations for 5-star back then, and it's a great program. I really, really encourage those who want to change not just their business, but change your life. If you really want to do something different about the way you manage your time and how you focus on business when it's time to focus on business, and focus on family or your personal interests when it's time to do that, I think that Ninja is a very, very powerful program, and I encourage anyone who wants to change their business but also change their life to sign up and participate in Ninja. Let's talk about communication. I hear this a lot from agents who are right now, they're saying, well, what do you talk to your clients about? I mean, there's stuff going on, but what do you say to them? What causes you to pick up the phone and call them? And I will say that this is one of the best times of the year to call people, because we're not necessarily swamped with business. If you are, that's great. But a lot of agents are sitting there waiting for the phone to ring and hoping that someone will call you. Guess what? They're not going to call. I can tell you, they're not going to call. So as you can see on my little avatar for today, where I'm sitting there sort of looking at the phone like, well, is somebody ever going to call me again? No, they're probably not. So I want to help you get some information that will give you a reason to give them a phone call. But first of all, let's talk just a little bit about how do you contact people. When you get to communication with prospective clients, past clients, current clients, whatever it is, how do you communicate with them? And very often, Eric and I and Doug Hale are getting calls from agents or from customers where the communication is broken down. And the reason that the communication is broken down is that they're not, the two parties, our agent and the consumer, for example, are not communicating effectively, either because one party or the other doesn't want to communicate the way the other one does. For example, email, phone, and text, and in person. Let's not forget that one. Some people still want to meet in person to discuss business matters because it allows you the opportunity to get in front of someone and talk with them and get all of the questions out, all of the information out in a setting where you're face-to-face with them. Some people prefer that. Some people prefer to have text messages or emails. The challenge with text messages in particular is that you don't always get all of the information or all of the subtext of the emotions going on on the other side of that text message. So, for example, if I text something to you as my client and you say, well, okay, fine, but I don't hear the okay, fine, it isn't really fine subtext of that message, then we can be communicating ineffectively. So what I encourage people to do is, if there's ever any question, if there's something that needs more than a yes or no answer, do you want to go to lunch? Yes. Tomorrow, noon at so-and-so. Done. You can do that in a text message. If you're communicating about negotiations in a purchase transaction, then I would encourage you to get on the phone and call someone and say, hey, here's what we're going to do. Here's what the plan is. What do you want to do? And so on and so forth. And then follow up whatever it was you agreed to in an email and with an addendum if it requires that anything be changed. For example, if you're running up on the closing and there's some question about what the possession date is going to be, get it clarified in an addendum so that both parties, before they walk into the closing, they know when those keys are going to be turned over going from the seller to the buyer. I encourage you always to know without a question before you go into a closing when the possession is going to be given. So get those things in writing, confirm it with an email, follow up with an addendum, and then you're going to avoid any lack of communication or miscommunication that results from text messaging. So, just a thought. I also want to take a moment, I forgot this, welcome our new broker support members, Cindy Beckwith and Marissa Harrington. They're going to join Kim Anderson, Tracy Johnson, and Doug Hale in helping our agents with education, answering questions, learning procedures, learning the purchase agreement and how to implement it, and all of those things. So we have a great broker support team, and we're here ready to help you. So let's get to today's topic. I'm going to give you at least 5 reasons to contact your prospective clients, whether that's past clients, friends, family, neighbors, people you do business with. I always like to contact the people who starch my shirts down the street. I like to go to the same place to get my oil changed so that I know those people and they begin to know me. So how do you get in contact with them at this time of year? Well, in my view, there's no better time of year than right now. We are gearing up for the holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, or another holiday that you or your loved ones may celebrate. New Year's, 1, 2, 3. 3 good opportunities to touch them, and by reaching out and saying, hey, how are you doing? Hey, how about this? For 2022, I'd like to update my database. Would you mind so much if I just verify what your current address is, phone number, email address, and so on? I've done this for years to make sure that my database, that I didn't miss somebody. Maybe somebody went and made a move and I didn't know about it. And that happens. But sometimes we discover later that they weren't really happy with that situation when they went to another realtor. And lo and behold, I come back into the picture and say, hey, next time, I'd be happy to help you with no ill feelings toward them. And lo and behold, I get my client back. So there's 3 good touches: Thanksgiving, Christmas, or holidays you celebrate, and New Year's. But there's a lot more going on in the business right now, and I think that it's a great opportunity, particularly because we've had so many problems with Zillow over the years. And we don't have to go about bashing Zillow. They've done it for themselves, thankfully. They lost $380 million last quarter. So the reason that they lost it is they went out and started buying homes based on their algorithms, which were flawed. And we all knew they were flawed. We've known it for years. But here we are. They've now given it up. They've thrown in the towel. They've said, we can't do that. Our algorithms were flawed. And so we're just bleeding money here. So we're going to stop buying the houses that we were buying after we lost $380 million in one quarter. And we're not going to mess with those things anymore. The day after they announced that loss, their stock price dropped by 25%. And then they followed it up by getting the listings messed up the other day. All throughout the country, they were getting their downloads for information from a different source other than the IDX feed from the local realtors. So the information that was on Zillow was incorrect. Now, they eventually got it corrected, but the bottom line is there's a message there that we can give to our clients, past clients, the people on our mailing list, that they still need a good realtor, a local expert, somebody who knows how to price a property according to the actual market value, not based on algorithms and this fanciful stuff that was going on for years. If you want to share articles, you may do that, provided you give the credit to the author or the organization that broadcast it. All you have to do is go on Google and search Zillow, and there's article after article talking about what I just shared with you, and I encourage you to go out and have that as one of your reasons to contact your database. Another reason to contact them: anyone who owns a property, owns real estate right now, or is thinking about owning real estate, wants to know what's the prediction for next year. What's going to happen in 2022 to home values, demand for homes, activity in the marketplace. And a great resource here is one that 5-Star brought to you in the company meeting, and that's Paul Isley, the economist for Grand Valley State University. If you didn't watch Paul's presentation at the company meeting, by all means, please click on the link that we provided to you with Paul Isley's presentation. It was powerful because he essentially said that the strength of the market, the strength of the economy is going to continue unless certain things happen, which are probably at this point fairly unlikely to happen, one of which is an extended COVID dilemma, a resurgence and so on. Medical experts, I think, are beginning to say, I think we're getting past the curve. So I think that the market next year is going to be strong. There's a misconception out there that a lot of millennials and Gen Z folks don't have money, and that's wrong. It's not true. If you watch Paul Isley's presentation, he says that they have $500 billion in savings. That's a lot for that particular, those particular groups. So buyers are going to have money to buy houses, and unless we can get more listings, the imbalance that we've experienced over the last several years is going to continue, which means that we're going to continue in a seller's market. Whether or not it's going to be as robust as we've seen over the last several years, nobody can judge right now. But I don't think that we're going to see a softening in the market in terms of shifting from a seller's market that we have today to a buyer's market 6 months from now. I don't think that's going to happen. But I think it's really important that you get on the phone or prepare a mailing, do something to reach out and touch your customers so that they know that you're ahead of the business, that you're the expert, you're the real estate expert, they're a real estate expert. So I encourage you to do that. Let's talk a little bit about escalation clauses. Now, escalation clauses are probably not going to go away. However, we have started to see a bit of a shift, and I would encourage you to go back and watch Eric Graham's Deal Doctor live stream on October 24, where he talked about how to use escalation clauses, how they are used, how they function, and whether or not how to best respond if you get an escalation clause or a number of them in a offer presentation. One of the things that I've always said about escalation clauses, even as they were growing in popularity, is the only person who benefits from the escalation clause is a buyer. A buyer is doing what I call the Price is Right strategy, where one person says, I'm going to bid $300, and the next person is that guy who says, I'm going to bid $301. And you go, oh, yeah. That's what an escalation clause is. It is a buyer making an offer at the lowest possible price that is higher than the next best offer. So when you start to think of this from a seller's perspective, how does it benefit the seller to entertain escalation clauses? Well, you could argue that with each one, they may or may not escalate up to the maximum purchase price. But here's one of the challenges, or one of the questions I have for agents. If you're making a decision based on an escalation clause that is puts the offer $1,000 higher than the next best offer, is that really what's in the best interest of your seller? I argue that maybe it's not. $1,000 is going to make virtually no difference if one of those is more financially sound than the other one. Let's say that this one's a cash offer, 50% down, and this one is an FHA offer. Well, this one may be higher, but this one's stronger. So we need to identify how we are helping our clients. What is the best advice we can give them? And what we're suggesting in the broker support area is to respond to them with a specific counter. In other words, your seller could respond taking one offer, let's say this one, the high one, and saying, seller hereby rejects all escalation clauses and counters this offer for a specific price. Number one, it's simpler. Number two, it may get your seller the best offer and with the most powerful buyer, the one who has the ability to get it closed. What are their credit ratings? What's the difference in that, as well as the strength of their financials? Is the offer unusual? Are there things in the offer which could make it difficult in terms of what any contingencies or personal property that they may be leaving? So I would take that very, very best offer with the greatest financial strength and go back and counteroffer that to say, seller hereby rejects all escalation clauses and counters for this specific price. Another strategy is to go back to all of them, if there are multiple offers, and say, we're going to look for highest and best offers, give you till tomorrow at noon or 5 o'clock tomorrow, and we're not going to entertain escalation clauses. You need to bring out the big guns if you want to win. And what that does is it takes that Price is Right strategy off the table, and it makes them come in with their biggest, best offer. And that's not ratcheting up by $1,000 at a throw. So I hope that helps. Again, I'm going to post here shortly a little bit of information from Eric's live stream on October 24th. I think it's really helpful. I encourage you all to read this document that was prepared and distributed by the Michigan Realtors, as well as the escalation addendum. And if you have questions, give us a call. I'm sure that we can help you. But any questions for right now? Dom? Nothing. Okay. So there's some resources for you. Paul Isley's presentation is full of information that you can share with clients. Get in touch with the holidays over the next 60 days. Zillow news and any other news that may come to pass. What's your time on the market? In your particular multiple listing association, is the time on market, the days on market, going up or going down? All of these things are great pieces of information to share with your clients. So, until next week, thanks for joining, and we'll see you then. Bye.